Hey everyone, Muckluck here, and we just finished watching the 1 hour and 45 minute long presentation from ArenaNet about the new upcoming Elite specializations, the Catalyst, the Vindicator, and the Bladesworn. We got the details on all their skills, how their kits work, and we will be able to play these during the beta test that starts on Tuesday. And without further ado, I'm going to attempt to TLDR the mountain of information they have given us into this video. And I'll tell you ahead of time, I think they did a really good job. These are classes that I don't even play, and they actually look interesting to me right now. So let's get started. Starting off with the Vindicator, their new legend is the alliance of the two heroes that helped take down Shiro in Guild Wars 1, Archimedes and St. Victor, and that gives them access to a new mechanic. Now essentially their utility skills, that's the 6 through the 10, they will all either be red or blue, and when you use one it flips. And to really TLDR this, the red ones are offensive, the blue ones are supportive or defensive, and after using them they just alternate to the other one. If you hit F2, they all swap. So let's say you had a build that really excelled at using the red offensive skills. You could just use all the red skills. They would all flip and become blue after being used. You hit F2 and all those blue ones would swap back to red with a bit of a cooldown. The red heal skill will heal you, give you might, and damage enemies in an area. The blue heal skill will heal you and heal allies in an area. The red mobility utility is Nomad's Advance. It lunges forward, damaging foes and gaining might for each target struck. The blue version of that skill is you evade backward, and it does have an evade frame, grants boons to nearby allies, resistance and regen. The next skill shown was Scavenger Hunt. Unleash your rage at foes in an area. You gain quickness and endurance for each enemy struck, and it inflicts burning. The endurance is very important, and this is a great segue into their dodge bar. They only have one dodge. However, when they dodge, they will leap into the air and crash down like Doomfist from Overwatch. They have a great many traits that affect that dodge, which I will be showing soon. However, that means that the more vigor and endurance generation they have, the more often they can do that. The blue version of the previously shown skill is Tree Song, grants regen and cleanse conditions from allies in the targeted area, healing them for each condition removed. You gain endurance for each ally and additional endurance for every condition you cleansed. Next up is the Stun Break. The red version is Reaver's Rage. It breaks stun and attacks nearby enemies, and you gain stability and fury for every target hit. The first thing I thought of when I saw this is that it might do very well versus Minion Masters, which will give you a lot more targets to hit with your abilities. The blue version of the previous skill is Awakening, which breaks stun on all nearby allies, similar to the Ranger's Protect Me skill, which is a 5-man stun break. It also gives protection and a short amount of stability. The elite skill is the Spear of Archimedes, which is a 2,000 range snipe. See that guy over there taking our home node? Don't worry, I got him. The blue version of the previous skill is the Urn of St. Victor. While channeling this, you will damage yourself and heal all nearby allies, and if you click the button again to end it early, you give all nearby allies boons based on how low their health is. Regen at 75, protection below 50, and resistance below 25. Additionally, while channeling the urn, you have very, very high damage reduction. This skill was very reminiscent of many ritualist skills in Guild Wars 1 factions. The Great Sword Skill 1 is just an auto attack, standard stuff. Skill 2, Mist Unleashed, does a heavier hit on a short cooldown, similar to how Maul works on Ranger Greatsword 2. Skill 3 is a movement ability. You can use it without a target, or you can use it with a target, and it will perform a large slash at the end of it if a target is locked. Skill 4, Imperial Guard, is a 2-second channeled block. If you hit the button again, it becomes True Strike. True Strike does more damage based on how much damage you blocked. You can simply double tap the skill to do a quick hit, or you could try to block at the perfect moment, build up a lot of charge, then use it for the larger hit. Greatsword 5, Eternity's Requiem. I'm just going to summarize this. It is Meteor Swarm from Staff Elementalist, but it is instant cast, a little bit weaker, and in melee range. It does 24 random strikes around you. He then showed what it looks like when you are standing in an area when an enemy uses this skill. He then kind of went all over the place with explaining the stuff to make it make the most logical sense. I'm going to follow the order that he showed. These are the traits. This first column, top skill, Leviathan Strength, refreshes the cooldown of Alliance utility skills, and the cooldown of your F2 is increased accordingly. So in addition to flipping the skills, it will make them all available again, but it has a longer cooldown. He then yelled at Carl, who it's apparently his fault that that says F2 and not the actual name of the skill. Balance in Discord, gain health and boons every time you swap legends or by using Alliance tactics when attuned to the Legendary Alliance. Next up is Empire Divided, which you gain increased power while above half health and increased healing power while below half health. First Grandmaster trait, Death Drop, affects your dodge roll. Your total endurance and the cost of dodging are both increased. Dodging now deals more damage, but affects a smaller area. Gain increased damage for a period of time after impact. So it will take longer to fill up your dodge bar, and when you use it, the radius of the circle of impact is smaller, but it does way more damage. Then, after impacting, you do 15% more damage for a time. Next, he showed the bottom one in the column, which is Saint of Zuhelzer. Your endurance bar and the cost of dodging are reduced, but the affected area is increased. You now heal allies in an area when you land instead of dealing damage. Outgoing healing is increased for a period of time upon landing. So if you were running a supportive build, this makes your dodge, when you come crashing down, support your allies instead of attacking your enemies. The middle option in the Grandmaster line, Vassals of the Empire, dodging will now grant boons to allies and inflict chill on struck foes while landing. Also extends the boon duration for allies upon landing by 2 seconds, offering very unique support options that not many classes have. Second row of the first column, Amnesty of Xingzhe. Legendary Alliance abilities gain additional bonuses. Activating F2 grants both of these bonuses simultaneously. Luxon abilities will grant regen in an area around you. Cursic abilities grant might in an area around you. First column, final row, Redemptor's Sermon. When struck while below the health threshold, heal allies in the area and cleanse their condition. Threshold is 50%, and it's got a 30-second cooldown in open world. Clears 3 conditions off all nearby allies when you go under half health and amidst a heal. Second column, top row, gain endurance for each target affected by your dodge. So this means if you come crashing down on a large group of enemies, you'll get back a ton of endurance and you could crash down again very quickly after. Second option, Ancient's Trust, grant endurance in an area when swapping legends or activating Alliance tactics. The effectiveness is decreased by 50%, but legend swap endurance gain is 10. Finally, the Song of Arboreum, grant vigor to yourself and nearby allies after dodging, and vigor has an increased effect on you. Next up was the Bladesworn. Now the Bladesworn's new weapon is exactly that. It is a weapon. When you are in combat as a Bladesworn, you cannot weapon swap to your other weapon kit. It is meant that you use the gun saber, which is your F1, as well as whatever weapons are in your equipped set when you enter combat. You will not be able to use standard weapon swap when in the middle of a fight if you are this class. First up, the Adrenaline bar has been renamed to Flow to make more sense thematically, and you'll notice the bullet icons above the bar. Now, when you are in combat, you will get a buff called Positive Flow, which is giving you flow every second. Additionally, there are other mechanics of the class that can give you flow more quickly as well. When the flow bar is full, you can use the F2 to enter Dragon Trigger, which is when you sheath your sword and prepare to do a large strike. Every second that you're in Dragon Trigger, it will transfer flow into those little bullets. The strength of the next skill you use is dependent upon how many of those bullets are lit up. Now I'm going to warn you, what you are about to see is a beta, and it is with every buff in the game on him, and this involves him standing still for 10 seconds channeling this, then hitting someone who's in melee range after. You saw that right, 347,000 damage. However, the conditions to do that involve basically standing still with every buff in the game for over 10 seconds charging it. Now, when in Dragon Trigger, that first skill is the large, massive amount of damage directly in front of you. The second skill is damage in a line. This skill was seen during the demo trailer. The third skill is called Reach and does the attack from longer range. The fourth skill gives you Aegis for a few seconds. You can use this to try to protect yourself while charging this up. And the fifth skill is called Flicker Step, which gives you a very short-range blink, offering a few minor repositioning options while trying to charge this in a fight. Their pistol skills use an ammunition system. Specifically, the 5 uses up the ammo and the 4 helps you recharge it. The 5 is Dragon's Roar, fires all barrels in your hand cannon to deal damage to foes in front of you. This skill will consume all ammo when fired and push you back. The fourth skill, Gunslinger, is a quick step forward to strike your foe while reloading the gun. It restores the ammo to the fifth skill. It also gives you 3 seconds of Aegis while you step forward and apply some vulnerability to the target. This offers some obvious options like using 5-4-5 or using 4 then 5. The skill types this class gets are called Armament and is new. And honestly, they all seem to be things that were stolen from engineers, and they are all on an ammunition-based system. The first thing is Combat Stimulant. You heal yourself and enter what is called Stim State. When Stim State expires, you're healed again. The second heal is much larger. If you hit the skill again while in Stim State before the second heal, you will give up the second heal and instead get Vigor, Fury, and Quickness. From my perspective as a Ranger main, this is very cool. It's kind of like you get to choose between getting Troll, Unguent, or Quickening Zephyr on this button every time you use it. Bulletproof Barrier, throw a device that explodes when it lands, which leaves behind a barrier that blocks projectiles. I was not happy to see this. I think there's too many projectile blocks in the game already, but I'm sure this is going to be used a lot in World vs. World. Electric Fence throws a device that leaves behind a wall of energy, crippling foes that pass through it. Foes already crippled can become immobilized. Because it has 2 charges, you could just throw it twice to land the cripple, then the immobi on enemies that don't move fast enough, or you could cripple them with a different skill, then throw this to land the immobilize. Flow Stabilizer increases your flow rate and gains stability. If you already have stability, you get even more flow rate. The buff lasts for 8 seconds. The last utility skill is Dragon Spike Mine. Evade backward while dropping a mine that cripples foes. The skill recharges Dragon Trigger and it is a stun break. They said they intentionally did not make this armament ammunition based because there was already an ammo based stun break on the Warrior with Shake It Off, and they did not want them to have a second one, especially with what you're going to see in just a moment. The elite skill is Tactical Reload. Reload ammo on all of your profession skills, specifically 1. It adds 1 ammo to all of them. So if you're using the armaments, perhaps Shake It Off, I'm assuming that Shake It Off is going to count as an ammo for this system, as well as using the pistol offhand. All of those are affected by this, and there are some other weapon skills as well in the Warrior kit. Going over the trait lines, first column, first row is River's Flow. Incoming healing is increased, and healing yourself increase flow rate for 5 seconds. The first freebie passive is Dragon Scale Defense. If you are struck while in Dragon Trigger, that's when you have the weapon sheathed and you're charging up, you will gain protection for 4 seconds with a 15-second cooldown. Guns and Glory gain ferocity for a short duration when you hit with an explosion. This effect stacks duration. This is a good time to note that many of the Gunblade skills have explosions attached to them, something that previously was primarily an engineer thing, and now you have a lot of access to them. First column, second row, movement skills grant swiftness and increase flow rate. 5-second recharge, 5-second duration on positive flow, 6-second duration on swiftness. First column, final row is Unseen Sword. Swapping weapons, and remember, if you are this class, you can only swap into Gunsaber or out of Gunsaber. Swapping weapons strikes all nearby foes and gives you positive flow if it hits a target. Second column, first row, using the final round of ammo on any ammunition skill will give you 1300 barrier. Second column, second row, Flame Shell Burst. Using the final round of ammo on an ammunition skill drops a flame shell that will burn nearby foes. Second column, final row, Lush Forest. Using the final round of ammo on an ammunition skill will reduce the recharge of all other equipped skills by 1 second. Grandmaster traits, the first one is Dragon Slash heals you for a percentage of the damage dealt. 8% healing may not sound like much, but remember, he hit earlier for almost 350,000 damage. Unyielding Dragon, Dragon Slash becomes unblockable, ignores blindness, and stuns foes on hit. I feel like this would be the popular option in PvP. And Finally, Daring Dragon. Dragon Slash has a lower max charge level, but re-enters Dragon Trigger if you can pay the flow cost, essentially trading quality for quantity. Finally, the Catalyst. Now, the Catalyst, when you use the F5, you summon your Jade Sphere, which goes down and makes a field based on the element you are currently in until it runs out of energy. You can see the energy on a small bar above the F5 button. While in this field, you have many opportunities to do combos with your other skills, and it has special interactions with many of them. Additionally, each of the 4 different fields has a spirit animal in the middle based off the spirit animals from Cantha. The Dragon Sphere field itself does do persisting damage, but it is very minor. That is not its primary purpose. Additionally, while standing in the field, you will get boons as well based on the element that you are currently in. While the hammer is equipped, the 3 skill for every single element will summon an orb that floats around you in an impression of Aurelian's Soul from League of Legends. If you press the 3 skill again while it is orbiting around you, you can fire it like a missile toward your target. Additionally, while you have an orb summoned, if you swap to another element and use the 3 skill of that element, you add that orb to what is orbiting you and refresh the duration of the previous orb. So if you act quickly, you can rotate through all 4 elements and get all 4 orbs active around you, doing constant damage around you times 4, and also when you press the 3 skill, you'll fire all of them at once in a barrage. The 1 skill of the hammer while in fire or air is actually ranged. It is a 600 range ability. For the other 2 elements, it is actual melee, but for fire and air, it is a mid-range combatant. The 2 does not operate on standard shotgun mechanics, although it does look like one. The 2 will fire a cone of flames, but it will not hit the same target multiple times. The 4 summons 3 small, searing volcano-looking things on the ground. However, if you have the enemy in the dead center of it, they will be hit by all 3 of them. So the goal is to, if you are fighting a target, try to hit them with all 3, and they will be hit and burned by all 3. The 5 skill is the only true melee skill of the Fire Hammer, and it is called Molten End. It damages nearby enemies, and if they are a burning enemy, you will get offensive boons. It is also a blast finisher, allowing you more combo options with your Jade Sphere fields. Moving on to air. The 1 is a ranged attack, standard stuff. We've already seen the 3. The 2 is probably my favorite skill. You do a Beyblade impression and channel a tornado on the enemy. It does appear you can still move while channeling this skill. The 4 was the skill seen in the trailer where you knock down the enemy, and it is actually an AoE 2-second knockdown, and send yourself flying backwards. Be careful of cliffs behind you. The 5 skill fires a blast of lightning that explodes when it reaches its destination. It pierces, it stuns, and it is a blast finisher. The water 1 attack chain is melee, and the 3rd hit does chill. The 2 does many attacks and also chills, and looks very similar to the Warrior Greatsword 2. The 3 we have already seen with the rotating orbs. The 4, you leap at your target and strike nearby foes, and you heal based on the number of targets hit. The 5 strikes nearby foes, and you cleanse a condition for every target you hit. Moving on to Earth, the 1 is a melee range, very pretty graphic, hits all enemies around you. The 2 is Whirling Stones, where you spin around, hitting enemies around you 5 times and applying bleeding. The 3 we've already seen, with the orb that rotates around you that you can click again to fire it at an enemy. The 4 is Block the next incoming attack. If you successfully block an attack, you gain an aura based on your current attunement. The 5 is called Ground Pound. You smash your hammer into the ground to bleed and immobilize your enemies. And it is a 3-second immobilize. The utility skills are quite interesting. They do one thing, but if you are standing in the Jade Sphere of the correct element, they do an additional thing. The healing skill is Soothing Water. It heals you over time, but if you are in range of a water sphere, it will also cleanse a condition 5 times. Fortified Earth is a 3-second block. If this is cast within range of the Earth sphere, you'll get 3000 barrier after the channel is complete. Invigorating Air is the Stun Break. It will give you increased endurance regeneration, and if you are within range of an air sphere, it will also give you super speed. Shattering Ice is the water utility, though earlier water was the healing skill. Your successful attacks will trigger an additional strike on nearby enemies. If this is cast within range of your water sphere, additional strike will also apply chilled. The duration lasts for 5 seconds, so essentially you use this before comboing with other abilities. The fire utility is Relentless Fire. Your attacks and conditions deal increased damage. If this is cast within range of your fire sphere, your attacks are also unblockable for 5 seconds. Now, this actually scares me, and I hope that it gets the same treatment that all the other unblockable stuff did in the game. For example, sometime back there was a patch where many of the skills that read that they were unblockable or gave you unblockable, they did it for a certain number of charges. For example, your next 3 hits are unblockable, or your next 2 hits are unblockable, things like that. Not just a flat unblockable for 5 seconds. They did away with most skills that did that within the last year. So it would not surprise me if they changed this to say, like, your attacks are unblockable for the next 3 hits or the next 5 hits or something like that. But we'll see. The elite skill is Elemental Celerity. Your strikes reduce the cooldown of your equipped weapon skills. If this is activated in range of your sphere, gain a boon based on the current element. So when you activate this, it will last for 8 seconds, and every time you land a hit, your weapon skills cool down by 1 second. If you are in the associated sphere, you will get a Might for Fire, Vigor for Water, Fury for Air, and Protection for Earth. Catalyst traits, Elemental Empowerment. When you are in combat every 15 seconds, you get a buff that gives you 3% bonus to all stats. Now, it says max stacks 10. The reason for that is there are other skills that can also give you elemental empowerment. Remember, boost to all stats is also a boost to survivability. They said they have heard our memes about how Elementalist is only usable in downstate, and they are trying to give them enough survivability with this build that is not the case. Elemental Epitome gives you an aura based on your current attunement whenever you combo. Gaining an aura grants you elemental empowerment. So yet another way of getting empowerment, 10-second cooldown, and gives you additional auras. And remember, you're going to have access to your fields a lot with your F5, so it is not going to be difficult to do that. First column, first row is Hardened Auras. Damage reduction is increased when you gain an aura, and again, it stacks up to a maximum of 10%. This will combo very well if you've got a teammate who's a Tempest and giving you many of them. Second column, first row, again, I'm following the order of what he showed, is Empowering Auras. Gain increased outgoing damage when you gain an aura. Grandmaster trait line, first row, is you gain stability whenever you gain an aura. So they've got an entire line based on people good at generating auras. Vicious Empowerment, you gain elemental empowerment and might whenever you disable or immobilize a foe, giving you yet another way of stacking this up. A small note here, they did say that Elemental Empowerment would build not off of your base unarmored stats, but it will include your armor as well. So if you're in Berserker gear with Power, Precision, and Ferocity, you will get a larger amount of Power, Precision, and Ferocity. Evasive Empowerment gives you Elemental Empowerment and Vigor whenever you successfully evade an attack, with a 1-second cooldown. Empowered Empowerment. While at maximum stacks of elemental empowerment, its effectiveness is increased by double. Energized elements gain energy and fury when you swap attunements. Energy can only be gained while in combat. Spectacular Sphere. Your Jade Sphere grants a boon to nearby allies based on the current attunement when activating. This gives you the ability to give Might, Fury, Vigor, and/or Resistance to your teammates based on how you use it. Finally, Sphere Specialist. Boons applied by your Jade Sphere have increased duration by 50%. Considering one of the boons we have seen the spheres provide is quickness, I am wondering if this build might or might not even need a set of gear with a concentration stat on it, is able to become a full-fledged support that could buff groups, similar to a Quick Brand or the newer Quick Scrapper. And that's it. Whew. There was a lot to go through. I tried to condense this as much as possible. Again, this was originally a 1 hour and 45-minute broadcast, and I tried to TLDR it as best I could. If you've got any other notes to add or anything additional that you think people need to know that I might have missed, feel free to put it in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you. See you next time.